Hey everybody, it's Wayne coming to you with an options premium update, week 3 of 2025. Before we give you those numbers, let's circle back to 2024. $84,116. That was the final number that I made in net premium this past year, which is crazy to think that I was just $6,000 or so shy of making more in 1 year than I made for 2022 and 23 combined. That's right. I made 90,000 in those 2 years, 84,000 in the 1 year. Now, with that, you might say, well, that must mean 2025 you anticipate having a blockbuster of the year. Well, that's not quite the case, because I'll tell you right now, I personally think that I'm good at selling options. I think that my strategy last year certainly worked. I'm going to carry that over into this new year, but it does not matter how good I think I am at selling options. I'm never going to be able to compete. You're not going to be able to compete with market conditions and implied volatility. So I want to go into the new year very much with a conservative outlook. I think 52,000 is definitely doable. I'd like to make more, but at the end of the day, there are so many other variables than just being good at selling options. But with that, I am off to a good start. And I also want to point out the goal is the same from last year. I want to focus more on cash secured puts than covered calls. That's certainly the case because so far in January, I've written 39 cash secured put contracts versus the 14 contracts that I've written on the covered call side. That is going to be a theme that you see throughout. Let's go ahead and give you a rundown as to whether or not these past 3 weeks I have been able to meet that $1,000 a week goal. And so far, we're out to a great start. Take a look here. Week 1, over $1,500 in net premium. Week 2, $1,300 in net premium. And just this past week, I closed it out with over $1,300. The word net premium is so important because I'm also including contracts in which I incurred a loss on. So let's go ahead and give you a look at all of the contracts I've written on the cash secured put side. And there really hasn't been stock tickers that are too expensive. Typically I'm writing contracts against Meta or Netflix or AVGO or Lululemon. And I've got a lot of contracts that I am currently waiting to expire that I had to roll when the market took a serious downturn in December. So when you're selling cash secured puts, it's really, really important that you are managing your contracts and you are not overextending yourself, whether you're, using cash or you're using margin. You got to make sure that you're not going to put yourself too underwater. And with that, it brings up a good point because I often am asked, hey, Wayne, are there any quality stocks that aren't, $300 a share, $500 a share, or even $800 a share, right? Netflix comes to mind. And, take a look here. I don't think the stock ticker FL, which is Foot Locker, is a quality stock by any means, but I do like the fact that it's currently been hovering around its 52-week low. I've got no problem selling puts against the stock that is around that 52-week low. And even though I've only made $100, I'm happy to have made, if you will, only $100, right? I'm not trying to swing for the fences per se. I'm trying to get on base. And so if you look at that $100 and you say, Wayne, you opened 3 contracts and you made a total of $75, in which, by the way, I had to roll that position because obviously the share price did go below the $21 strike. Hey, that's no problem. I roll that position, which means I'm buying to close at a loss. And you're hoping to roll up and out and receive net premium, which is the case. So 6 transactions and I only earned about $100. But again, you got to remember, right? Not all of the 84,000 that I made last year in options premium came from Meta or Netflix or Nvidia or Tesla or even Coinbase. A lot of that also was comprised from really grinding out the lower price positions. So that's going to be a couple of the smaller price positions. Speaking of Coinbase, let's talk about a dilemma that I'm currently in. And this is why it's so important that you know how to properly roll. Now, this is what I sold against Coinbase in 2024. And in fact, I wrote a total of 46 contracts. And you'll see here on the right hand side that breaks down the outcome. Yeah, there was a couple of times throughout the year that I had to roll my position to avoid being assigned. But for the most part, I was able to sell to open, buy to close, right? Locking in net premium, and I was able to do so by closing out early. But I want to point out what happened to me here in December, and the market as a whole really saw a pullback. And so, things for me with Coinbase on December 16th, right? I write this contract. The strike price is $297, and I only write weeklies. Well, yeah, I received $240. But when Coinbase's share price went down significantly, I had to quickly make a move to avoid being assigned, which means I'm rolling that position. And so, yeah, that's exactly what happened here in this week. Well, guess what? I roll out from a 297 strike to now a 287 strike. And guess what? The same thing happens to me. Coinbase continues to go down in share price. I do the same thing. I roll out hoping to earn net premium with those efforts. And that's exactly what I did here on December 27th. I rolled that position, but rather than only being able to roll out, a week or 2 weeks, I had to roll out almost an entire month. So right now I'm on the sidelines. Coinbase, this contract right here has $28,000 tied up. So that means until Coinbase either expires worthless or I have to roll out again, that's $28,000 in cash/margin that I'm not going to be able to do a whole lot. But again, this is why I think selling options can be so exciting. Last year I made $7,000 and I never once owned a single share of Coinbase, yet I was still able to make some very, very decent premium from selling options against Coinbase. So I'm waiting another week to see whether or not Coinbase, this transaction in particular, is going to be profitable. But again, you'll see that will have made it, right, nearly 3 consecutive weeks where I had to roll up and roll out, hopefully doing so for net premium. So there you have it. 2025 is off to a great start, and you can see in total I've made $4,200. That is putting me well above my goal of making $1,000 per week. Right now I'm just at $1,400. The year is certainly new. That number is going to certainly fluctuate, but I am excited because, this is my jam. I love selling options. I love selling cash secured puts. And a couple of big goals that I have this year is I want to be able to take the money that I earn from premium, and I want to use that money exclusively to max out my Roth as well as my wife's Roth. And so as soon as this number right here hits 7,000, I'm going to go ahead and make my first contribution to my Roth. And then I'm going to repeat that process until I earn enough premium where I can then max out my wife's Roth contribution for 2025. So good stuff is in store. I hope you guys are having a fantastic week. Make sure you guys are liking, subscribing, throwing any comments or feedback in the comment section, and we'll see you on the next one.